Welcome to the Odds Breakers, number one place for shared, sharp betting information.
Welcome back to podcast 108 of 2024. I'm your host, Kiev O'Neill. You can follow me on Twitter at OBKiev. Follow us at the Odds Breakers and follow us on social media / the Odds Breakers. This episode is brought to you by mybookie.ag for an up to 100% sign up bonus up to $1,000. Please visit this podcast description, terms, conditions, location apply. If you'd like to support the Odds Breakers and benefit from our premium plays, please visit theoddsbreakers.com, click shop, become a member, pick any. For winning cappers, get the premium plays before the line moves. You can also support us on patreon.com, but if nothing else, please visit the Odds Breakers and become a free picks and Telegram subscriber. We are rolling, my friends. Little agenda for today. I'm going to keep going through our college football bowls. We are up to December 28th through the 31st. And then next week, I'm hoping to have a quick podcast. I'll be on vacation in Flagstaff, but I'm going to try to get one out Monday for Tuesday morning so you can listen to that about the college football playoffs, the 31st through basically the 2nd. And most likely that's going to happen. Obviously, when you're on vacation, there's a chance it might not. But if not, I'll always have an article out for you anyway, breaking down these bowl games. Man, I have to make a lot of changes on these things. So doing it early is not always beneficial. I had to update the games we're talking about today. So just a lot of craziness. And after that, we're going to start focusing on college basketball. I'm hoping to have a guest on the 2nd for the weekend. And we'll talk a little bit about the college football semifinals as well, because we'll have lines out for them by the 2nd, maybe an early look at that, and then maybe some college basketball for the 4th, because everything's going to kind of turn to focus on college basketball. And after the 2nd, all podcasts will be airing on Fridays for your weekend of college basketball, and some sprinkled in UFC as well. So that's what we got going on. Obviously, our show with Chris Felica has a lot of legs to it because it goes through a lot of these college bowls as it is. You know, we talk a little bit about the playoffs. I still like Notre Dame. I don't have an opinion quite yet on the playoff games other than Notre Dame. Chris likes the ASU team total under, if you remember, and we gave you some plays on a bunch of other bowl games, and man, that Baylor one's moving, so you better get on top of that one. We're also going to cover the NFL Week 17 on this show. We already made some plays, so we're going to give some out to you, as well as the ones that we obviously got on our bowl games. So I'm really excited to talk college and NFL, going solo today. Obviously, next week, later in the week, we'll start bringing our guests on once again to break down a ton of college basketball. Also, if you want to get involved in college basketball, it's only $150 for my whole season of college basketball using the promo code basketball2024. After the first, they'll change to basketball 2025. Any package 50% off for monthly by using that promo code as well. I also just want to say I really appreciate all you listeners out there and any subscribers that we do have. Thank you for keeping us going. We would literally be nowhere without you listeners and our wonderful members here at the Odds Breakers. All right, without further ado, let's get right into it, baby. If you missed the 26th and 27th, I talk about that on our show, our Christmas show with the Bear. And so we have to leave off at December 28th. And obviously, there are 8 games on Saturday, December 28th. I want to give another shout out to Stuckey from the Action Network for providing the data on the transfers, opt-outs, and injuries. Starting out with December 28th, the Wasabi Fenway Bowl, UConn versus North Carolina minus 2.5, total 52.5 in Fenway Park in Boston, 11 a.m. on ESPN. Weather's okay. It's going to be like in the high 30s, maybe some drizzle. UConn's motivation's high because they get to beat a Power 5 team. And I'd say North Carolina's motivation is low. Lots of distractions with Bill Belichick and the head coach hiring. UConn's going to get full 3 points from me from home. The key guys missing, well, UConn fired head coach, or UNC, I should say, fired head coach Mac Brown, and he will not be there for the Fenway Bowl. And they obviously hired Bill Belichick, but he won't be there either. Tight end coach Freddie Kitchens, who's going to serve as the interim head coach. You remember Freddie Kitchens. So this is an interesting spread and an interesting game. I I struggle with the motivation really for North Carolina, but I still think they put up points. I know that they lost a few guys to the transfer portal, starting linebacker Amari Campbell, starting left tackle Harold Sampson, defensive tackle Travis Shaw, backup quarterback Connor Harrell, couple opt-outs, running back Omari and Hampton, defensive end Kamon Rucker, and defensive tackle Javari Ritzy. All declared for the NFL draft. Tight end Bryson Nesbitt is out for the year, too. UConn's got a few, too. Starting cornerback Malcolm Bell's in the transfer portal. Skylar Bell is as well. Running back Durrell Robinson had 295 snaps and went to Auburn, and defensive end Price Yates as well. Bowl ATS, Jim Mora's 2 for 3, while Freddie Kitchens is 0-0. Net yards per play, UConn's got him by 0.28. That's not a worry, really. The key stats is the strength schedule difference. UConn ranks 129th, North Carolina ranks 67th. This one, tough. I wonder if some North Carolina guys will try to impress Coach Belichick here, or will the distractions just be too big? In normal circumstances, I would have North Carolina about a 10-point favorite against UConn. This is just a complete motivational situation. The total, though, seems low, especially if North Carolina doesn't feel like playing a lot of defense, as they lost a couple defensive guys to the transfer and opt-out. So I kind of like the over. So I do like the over, actually. That's what we're playing, and that's what we're getting out. Both teams rank in the 30s in tempo. So I expect a good tempo here. And even with the cold weather and maybe even with light drizzle, I still think this is too low. This got hammered down from 55 down to 52.5. Take the over, 52.5. Next, we have the Bad Boy Mowers Pinstripe Bowl, Boston College versus Nebraska. Nebraska -4, total 45.5. And this is obviously in New York City. And, same kind of forecast as Boston, I suppose, 37%, light rain possible. It says there's 37% chance of rain, 38 degrees is what I'm trying to say. So very close percentage of rain in degrees. This is interesting because I think that Nebraska's motivation is going to be very high. When was the last time they went to a bowl game? And Boston College motivation is kind of medium. Boston College gets a point only 200 miles away, but Nebraska, they've been dying to get to a bowl game. So I expect a lot of people coming into this game. The key guys missing. Dana Holgerson took over as Nebraska's OC late in the year and recently signed a long-term deal. Defense coordinator Tony White left for the same job at Florida State. Defensive backs coach John Butler will coach the defense in the bowl game. Boston College, couple small guys transferring, a wide receiver and a cornerback, not really big name ones. Thomas Castellanos lost his job anyway during the year, and he transferred the quarterback for Boston College. Couple opt-outs, right tackle Ozzie Trapilo for Boston College and defensive end Donovan Izuruku. Boston College injuries, cornerback Amari Jackson's out for a year, linebacker Owen McGowan's out for the year. Last played week 11, and linebacker Cam Arnold hasn't played since week 8. So those are the ones. But Nebraska's got some transfers too. Starting linebacker Micah Bayor signed with Mizzou. Starting defensive end Jamari Butler signed with LSU. Starting tight end Nate Bokercher is also transfer portal. Running back Dante Dowdle. Couple other guys. Outside linebacker Prince Will Umalayan. So, they're a bit beat up and transferring. Starting wide receiver Isaiah Nayor is opting out for the NFL. Matt Rule's 1-2 for his ATS. Boston College Bill O'Brien's 0-0. Boston College is a plus .22 net yards per play. The key stats is Boston College doesn't throw the ball much, ranking 124th in pass attempts. Nebraska is a very strong against the run, ranking 19th in opponent rush EPA. So they should be able to stop Boston College's attack. I might play Nebraska here, but I just got to make sure who's all opting out here. Nebraska's got quite a few of them and some linebackers, and that worries me a little bit. They're certainly going to be motivated. I will probably play Nebraska, but I'm just going to put it in as a lean right now at the -4 and make a decision the day of the game. The Estella New Mexico Bowl, Louisiana versus TCU. TCU -11.5, total 58. In University Stadium in Albuquerque, 2:15 p.m. on ESPN. Louisiana's motivation's medium. They get to play a Big 12 school. TCU's motivation's medium low. Poor destination for this team. It's Albuquerque. Home, really no school, no home field advantage. And I'm just wondering how many people are going to travel to this bowl game. Key guys missing. According to Coach Des, original quarterback Ben Woolridge is probable to return and play for Louisiana. And they used to be Louisiana Lafayette, if you remember. And wide receiver Robert Williams was carted off in the conference championship game. So I'm guessing he's going to be missing for Louisiana. So that's, and also starting safety Tyree Skipper is the team's best defender. Missed the last 4 games with an injury too. They got some guys in the transfer portal. Wide receiver Harvey Broussard signed with Louisiana. Starting tight end Terrence Carter signed with Texas Tech. Starting linebacker Karma Glass is in the transfer portal, and running back Draylon Washington. TCU's got some transfers too. Starting safety Jamel Johnson withdrawn though from the transfer portal, so he looks like he's staying. Running back Cam Cook is transferring 373 snaps he had, and starting center James Brockmeyer is transferring. The opt-outs are 2 receivers, big ones, Jack Becht and Savion Williams, but both are also dealing with injuries. Becht suffered an MCL injury in the finale and was expected to miss 4 to 6 weeks anyway. I guess there's a chance that he plays, so there's that. Coach ATS, TCU, Sonny Dykes is 3-3 in bowl season, and Louisiana, Michael DeSormo is 2-1. Louisiana's got a .11 net yard per play advantage. Key stats, TCU clearly had the harder strength of schedule, obviously, so who cares about a big advantage on the net yards per play, which .11 is small. But the handicap has to do with quarterback Ben Woolridge coming back. It looks like he can go, so this spread should, I think, be around 9.5. If he can't go, I would say 11.5 would be fair, but he's probable, so I'm thinking he's going to play. Both teams are really bad against the run, though. I'll wait and see. I actually lean Louisiana now that Woolridge is in. I think they should be more motivated, and I'm really worried about that Jack Becht. I mean, he had 1,000 receiving yards, 62 receptions. That's just a ton, and he's opting out. Most likely. I guess Dykes even said there's a chance he plays. So if he's opting out and Woolridge is in, this is probably a play on Louisiana. We'll wait it out. Pop-Tarts Bowl, Iowa State versus Miami. Miami -3.5, total 56 in the Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida. ABC, 3:30 p.m. Iowa State's motivation is medium-low. Miami's motivation is probably low. Iowa State had a shot at the playoffs and screwed it up, so they can't be all that happy. I'm going to give Miami 2 points of home field, being only 234 miles away in the same state in Orlando. Key guys missing: Iowa State transfer portal defensive end Kennard Snyder, defense end Trent Jones, but both were just more role players. They didn't play full time, but a starting defensive end in Tyler Onyedim is opting out as well, or transferring at least. Iowa State injuries. Linebacker Caleb Bacon's not expected to come back from injury. And running back Jalen Jackson is currently suspended, and his status for the bowl is uncertain. Miami transfer portal starting wide receiver Isaiah Horton is heading to Alabama, it looks like. And running back Ajay Allen is in the transfer portal as well. He didn't get many snaps, though, only 51. And then obviously there's potential opt-outs with like Elijah Arroyo for a tight end, and Jalen Rivers, quarterback Cam Ward. That's the biggest one. Now, quarterback Cam Ward said he'll play, but you never know. What if he's a top 2 pick? Why would you play? I don't understand. So I'm confused about all that. The bowl coach ATS, Iowa State, Matt Campbell's only 3-6, but Mario Cristobal's 2-5-1. So both of these are fade coaches. Net yards per play, Miami is a monstrous plus 2.69. I mean, the key stats is Miami won't have a problem moving the ball. The question is if they can stop Iowa State. I think they can, as long as the Clones as the Clones only rank 68th in offensive EPA, 93rd in offensive success rate. This could get ugly, like what ASU did to Iowa State. Miami's the play at -6 or better, but as long as most of them are playing, I think Cam Ward's a must start, so I would wait. I would say Miami first half would be the play. So I'm just going to make sure that he's in. I mean, the first halves are -160, so it's not like the cat's not out of the bag that people are looking at the first half on this, but it makes sense because you want to make sure the star players, get in and get out. So I like the first half a heck of a lot better in this bowl and one more that we're going to get into in a second. So let's go. In the next bowl, we have Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl, Miami, Ohio versus Colorado State. Colorado State +3, total 40.5. This bowl's absolute junk to me. I hope to not watch it. Miami, Ohio's motivation is medium-low. Colorado State's motivation is probably medium-low. They're going to Tucson. There's some guys in the transfer portal. Both are kind of equal with guys in the transfer portal, but Miami's got more offense in it. Colorado State's got more defense in the transfer portal. Colorado State, Jay Norvell is 3-0 against the spread in bowl games. Miami, Ohio, Chuck Martin is 5-0. So unfortunately, both of these are great coaches to bet on. It's better when you have one good coach ATS and one bad coach ATS to make a decision on how you want to back the motivation in these games. But man, key stats, just neither offense is good. Colorado State ranks 86 in EPA. Miami ranks 96. Miami's got the better defense. Both teams lost some key guys. Colorado State's definitely the more fraudulent team here. Miami has some offenses in transfer portal, so even though that their offense is worse, their defense is a lot better. Is it that bad that they lost two starting receivers and a left tackle of the transfer portal? Or is it worse that Colorado State's with defense is already bad, lost a couple defensive ends and a linebacker to the transfer portal? It's just a tough handicap. I will say Colorado State is without their best stud receiver, Torrey Horton. That's a big problem. So I'm a lean Miami, Ohio. It makes sense, but the spread, you're not getting a lot of value there. I think that with a low total like 40.5, laying points is always tough. I think it's 3 for a reason. It looks like some money's kind of coming back a little bit on Colorado State too. So just an ugly game to get involved with. In saying that, I'm just going to give you a lean to the under still, 40.5 points, because of just how decimated these teams are in each positional group. Let's move on to the next bowl game, the Go Bowling Military Bowl, East Carolina versus NC State. NC State -6, total 58.5. And Annapolis, Maryland, Navy Marine Corps Memorial Stadium, 5:45 on ESPN. This is going to be a little bit rainy here, and just a little bit more rainy than the other bowls. I think East Carolina's motivation is going to be medium high, playing a bigger school. NC State's motivation is probably medium low. Not a great destination, not a great opponent. Key guys missing. NC State lost longtime defensive coordinator Tony Gibson to Marshall. East Carolina's interim, Blake Harrell, took over midseason and now is the full-time head coach. East Carolina transfer portal. They lost a wide receiver, Chase Sowell, starting cornerback Isaiah Brown Murray, linebacker Zake Barker, defensive line CJ Mims. East Carolina might have an opt-out in Winston Wright. He declared for the NFL draft, so he's likely out. NC State transfer portal, just starting wide receiver Casey Concepcion and wide receiver Jalen Coit. So that's what we have for them. NC State's injuries, linebacker Caden Fordham's out for the year after playing since week 6. Not playing since week 6. Cornerback Corey Coley hasn't played since week 6 either. Bowl coach ATS Dave Duran, 5-4 for NC State. In East Carolina, Blake Harrell, obviously 0-0 right now. Net yards per play, East Carolina's plus 0.87. But, East Carolina's schedule ranks 115th. North Carolina's State's ranks 65th. So there's your difference right there in stats and yards per play. So The turnovers make this a really highly variant game, and that's what's key here. The Pirates are -7 and the Wolfpack's -4. I mean, what's going to happen with this variance? That makes me really want to stay away from this game, but I will say NC State has more to lose here. The Pirates got their coach hired, Graham Harrell. Maybe that's enough for them, right? I might play NC State, but I'm going to wait till it gets closer. I'm going to give you a lean to NC State, minus the 6 points. Next game, BYU versus Colorado. Colorado -4, total 55 in the Alamo Dome, San Antonio, being that Valero Alamo Bowl at 7:30 p.m. on ABC. BYU's motivation, I'm going to say medium. They blew their playoff chances, but Colorado's motivation is definitely medium-high. Deion's got these kids excited. Key guys missing. Colorado's got a transfer portal and linebacker Nikhai Hill-Green signed with Alabama, and defensive end Deion Hayes signed with A&M, but he's been out for an injury anyway, but I guess he might play. No opt-outs for Colorado, which is awesome. A few injuries. Cornerback Preston Hodge missed the final 3 games. Starting defensive line Amari McNeil missed the finale. So we don't know who's going to exactly come back. Jimmy Horton did miss the last few games, and starting right tackle Philip Houston and running back Isaiah Augustave missed the finale, but they could play. BYU's got some transfers, starting safety Crew Wakely, linebacker Asaya Moa, safety Micah Harper, and wide receiver Cody Epps, 135 snaps. BYU injuries, starting linebacker Harrison Taggart missed the finale, but he's on the bowl depth chart. And there's going to be some movement around BYU for their tackles and offensive line. So that could be a little bit of a disaster for them. It's just wide receiver Darius Lassiter, though, I forgot to mention for BYU, has to sit out the first half after getting an unsportsmanlike conduct call in the regular season finale against Houston. So the Coach Bowl ATS, obviously is Deion Sanders 0-0, being that this is his first bowl game. Kalani Sitake is 3-3 for BYU. BYU's got to put 2.4 net yards per play. But my key stats is Colorado just has a better defense, ranking 26th in success rate to BYU at 40th. And both teams have huge positives on the turnover margin. Colorado's +9, or actually +11, and BYU is +9. I feel like Colorado's improved as the year went on. BYU has regressed. I expect both teams to be motivated, but the public will surely be on Colorado, so that worries me. The other thing that worries me is how long will Shedeur, Horn, and Hunter play. I think an over or either team total might be the safest route to go, or obviously the first half, which is very similar to the Miami handicap. I would say Colorado team total over 30, or the first half minus 2.5. That's what it's at right now. And the money line's the same thing at minus 166 if you're feeling cute. But there's a chance that Shedeur, Horn, and those guys get benched in the third quarter, so they're healthy for the draft. You never know. So that's the smart way to play it anyway. So maybe they get a good enough lead, and that'll happen, and you can hit the halftime spread. I'm going to make this one official, though, for the first half. We're going to do Colorado first half at minus 2.5 for 2 stars.
Hey, nice clothes, gentlemen. I didn't know the Salvation Army was having a sale.
Next game, the Radiance Technology Independence Bowl, Louisiana Tech versus Army. Army minus 17, total 44, Independence Stadium in Shreveport, Louisiana, 9:15 on ESPN. Louisiana Tech's motivation is medium high. They get to play in a bowl game. They thought they weren't. Marshall had to opt out of their game due to the transfers, and Army's motivation is always high. Jeff Monken, 4-1 ATS in bowl games. This is a home game for LA Tech, so I'm going to give them 2 points, being right there in Shreveport. Key guys missing. There's a few guys in Louisiana Tech transfer portal, like defensive tackle David Blay, signed with Miami, cornerback Cedric Woods, defensive end John Burnett, backup quarterback Jack Turner. And they have a few injuries. The linebacker, Blay Burnett, linebacker, Colby Fields, and linebacker, Bert Hale. Army's got one guy in the transfer portal. Starting running back, Kanye Udo, is signing with ASU, going with Kenny Dillingham. And a couple injuries. Edge Kyle Lewis is out for a year. Backup nose tackle, Jacob Tui. I think it's Tuioti. I don't know. Suffered an injury in the Navy game, though, so that sucked. Army could have a potential pro prospects, but nothing heard just yet on all that. I think, being that they're an Army, everybody's gonna play no matter what. That's just how Army is. So, ATS, you have Jeff Monken at 4-1. Sonny Cumbie is 0-0. Army's got a .46 net yards per play advantage. The strange thing about this handicap is that Louisiana Tech actually shows well against the run. 16th in opponent rushing success rate. The spread is huge compared to the very low total of 44. The Bulldogs offense is terrible, though. 126 in EPA, while the Black Knights rank 6th. So the problem is, can they get enough points? What if this is 21-3? You're going to lose if you bet Louisiana Tech, I'm going to lean Louisiana Tech, but I'm probably not going to play this game. I think this is kind of a really rough game to watch on the end of the night on Saturday. Army's just going to pounce all over them, most likely. Maybe watch an NFL game. College football bowls now December 30th. And we're going to go through the 31st here, and then we're going to go all the way up to the playoff game because I'm going to talk about playoffs just briefly at the end here, and then a lot more next week if we can get that podcast in for you early before New Year's. So Monday, December 30th, the Trans-City Music City Bowl, Iowa versus Missouri. Missouri -3, total is 40. Iowa's motivation's high. Kirk Ferentz is 12-7-1 ATS in bowl games, but Missouri's motivation's high too. Eli Drinkwitz, 3-0 ATS in bowl games. Missouri's closer, but no home field advantage here in Nashville. Transfer portal for Missouri, wide receiver Mekhi Miller, 337 snaps. Missouri opt-outs, wide receiver Luther Burton, right tackle Armand Membo, linebacker Chuck Hicks. Missouri potential opt-outs could be Theo Weiss, but he should play, they're saying. They got a few injuries in Missouri. Center Connor Tolson's out for the year after missing the past 3 games. Wide receiver Mookie Cooper also out, and tight end Brett Norfleet is having surgery. He's going to miss the bowl game. Iowa transfer portal. Cade McNamara. Oh, well, he's back up anyway. Quarterback Marco Lentz as well. Iowa opt-out starting cornerback Jermari Harris is one. And I'm just looking at some updates here. Starting running back Caleb Johnson. He's a big part of that offense, but I don't expect any other opt-outs, and neither does Kirk Ferentz. Iowa's got a few injuries. Starting right tackle Jennings Dunker missed the final 2 games. Defensive end Brian Allen missed the finale. And I guess Brendan Sullivan, the quarterback, is healthy and is going to start the bowl, so that's good. And Reese Vanderzee, the wide receiver, also could return from injury too. So not too bad, really, on the opt-outs for both of these teams. That's a really good thing. You get to see a good game of 2 very motivated teams. Coach Bowl, ATS, like I said, is great with both teams. Eli Drinkwitz 3-0, Kirk Ferentz 12-7-1. Iowa's a plus .65 net yards per play advantage. Here's the key stats. Both teams have pretty good equal strength of schedule. Both teams had some quarterback woes. I honestly do not see where Missouri will have many advantages over Iowa, but Iowa is the better running team and probably the better passing team now that Sullivan is back. I think that the wrong team is favored here. So my verdict, I'm taking Iowa. Brendan Sullivan, he was the good quarterback and better than Cade McNamara when he came in, and McNamara's transferring anyway. He got injured during the UCLA game, though, but played quite well in the previous 2 games, including blowing out Wisconsin. Take Iowa and the over. Brady Cook should be playing for Missouri, so I see some points from Missouri. Iowa's a hell of an overs team at 9-3 to the over this year. That's huge, and I see more points this game and scored from both sides. I think both these teams get well over 20 points. Iowa +3 for 2.5 stars. The over 40 for 1 star. So we actually have 2 plays for you in this bowl game.
The only thing I'm addicted to right now is winning.
All right, Tuesday, December 31st, the ReliQuest Bowl, Alabama versus Michigan. Michigan +12.5. Total 43 in Raymond James Stadium, time noon. On ESPN, Alabama's motivation is going to be high. Some folks may not remember that this is a huge revenge spot for that last year's playoff game, and Michigan's motivation's medium. They beat Ohio State. Do they care about beating Alabama again. Maybe they show up. No home field advantage. Key guys missing. Michigan tight ends coach Steve Kasula will serve as interim OC in place of Kirk Campbell. And Alabama's transfer portal. Starting cornerback Devonta Smith, running back Justice Hayes, wide receivers Kendrick Law, Kobe Prentice, and Emmanuel Henderson and Caleb Odom. But while the top two are available, Ryan Williams is playing and Jeremy Bernard. Alabama's thin at wide receiver because of these injuries, though, so that you worry about it, or these transfers, but they have some injuries too. All-American safety Malachi Moore is out, linebacker Deontay Lawson's out, and safety Keon Sabb is out. Kalen DeBoer said he doesn't expect any other opt-outs. This is pretty huge. Milroe is going to play, and Booker. So that's great for him and great for Alabama fans. Michigan, on the other hand, has quite a few in the transfer portal. Starting wide receivers Tyler Morris, center Dominic Guidice. He only played 317 snaps, which is actually a decent amount. Offense tackle Andrew Gentry. Backup quarterback Alex Orji. Michigan has some opt-outs, though. Defensive tackle Mason Graham. Defensive end Josiah Stewart. Tight end Colston Loveland. Running back Donovan Edwards. Cornerback Will Johnson. And there might be some other guys opting out as well. So you worry about that. Bowl coach ATS, Kalen DeBoer 2-1. Sharon Moore from Michigan is 0-0. Alabama's got a massive net yards per play advantage of 1.71. The key stats here is Alabama, in theory, should have a large passing advantage, 11th in passing success rate to Michigan's defense that allow lots of yards through the air, 80th in defensive pass EPA. I would say that Michigan has gotten a lot better since week 6 or 7, though. They just massively improved. You saw that against Indiana. You saw the Ohio State victory. But I just see more transfers going out of Michigan, and I am actually surprised not to see more out of Alabama. This is a massive revenge spot for Alabama. Jalen Milroe is probably just dying to get back in there. Michigan had their time, and they beat Ohio State. This probably is a vacation for them. At least that's kind of how my mindset would be if I was on either of these teams. Alabama pissed they didn't make the playoffs. Probably going to make a statement here. You got to play Alabama minus the 12.5. And I flipped on this. I was first on Michigan when Bulls first came out here, and I actually had to buy back and try to middle this thing. But the line got away from me a little bit. But I am now on the side of Alabama as long as it's under 13.5 points. We'll take Alabama minus 12.5. A few more left here. We have the Tony the Tiger Sun Bowl, Louisville versus Washington. Washington plus 2.5, total 49.5 in the Sun Bowl Stadium, El Paso, Texas on the 31st. Louisville's motivation medium, and Washington's motivation is probably medium too. Not the greatest location here, but key guys missing. Washington's coach Jed Fish said he doesn't expect anybody to sit out, so I found that interesting. Louisville's head coach Jeff Brom said he wasn't sure, but both of them had the transfers, so I expect them to transfer and not play. Safety linebacker Benjamin Perry, 307 snaps, and defensive tackle Jared Dawson for Louisville, also a lot of snaps at 294. Louisville does have some other opt-outs, though, so Tyler Shook opted out early. Wide receiver Ja'Cory Brooks. Wide receiver Amari Huggins. Bruce V the fifth, I'm sure that means. And then defensive end Ashton Gillotti and cornerback Quincy Riley. Senior Harrison Bailey is listed as the starting quarterback for Louisville. Wide receiver Colin Lacey is listed on the Bolt depth chart after sitting out the remainder of the regular season after 4 games to preserve his redshirt status, so he might play. So Washington's transfer portal, you have starting left tackle Khalid Tafi committed to Minnesota. Linebacker Kamori House, 317 snaps committed to Minnesota, and running back Cam Davis committed to Minnesota. It's like Minnesota just ransacked this team. A couple other guys starting left guards in the transfer portal, and guard Memalar. I don't know if I said his name right. And then a couple other small guys. Even their punter, Jack McAllister's in the transfer portal, so that's weird. Are they going to have a punter? Washington potential opt-outs is also defensive end Zach Durfree, defensive line Jalen Parker, and defensive lineman Russell Davis all were injured. So that's worrisome. The quarterback for Washington, Will Rogers, was benched for the finale, and Jed Fish said Damon Williams will start the bowl game. So that's interesting. Defensive coordinator Steve Belichick's going to hang out around before leaving to North Carolina. So he's going to coach the bowl. Coach Bowl ATS Louisville, Jeff Brown 4-3, Jed Fish 1-1. Louisville's got a big net yards per play advantage at plus 1.63. The key stats is that, both of these teams are without their starting quarterbacks for the regular season. 2 of the 3 top receivers from Louisville are opting out. Not that Washington wasn't ransacked, like I said earlier, in the portal by the Gophers. In theory, Louisville should be able to run the ball, ranking 38th in rush EPA to Washington, ranking 80th in opponent rush yards per rush. My verdict is this is just hard to handicap with all these guys leaving, and Damon Williams being the wild card here for Washington and the quarterback. I think Louisville wins, but I'm going to wait to bet this. I'm going to lean. I'm going to probably lean Louisville on the money line. I think this probably goes up, but geez, man, without Tyler Shook and without their 2 receivers there, it's just going to stay a lean for me as of right now. You can probably, you can also anticipate maybe a middle situation too, but I'm just not so sure. Cheez-It Citrus Bowl, South Carolina versus Illinois. Illinois +9, total is 48 at Camping World Stadium in Orlando, Florida at 3 p.m. on ABC. South Carolina's motivation is going to be medium, business and pleasure, and Illinois' motivation, medium. Knowing Brett Bielema, it's more pleasure than business, as I said in an earlier show. Home field, I'm going to give a small 1-point home field advantage for South Carolina. They're only 425 miles away, so very drivable. Key guys missing: Illinois transfer portal tight end Henry Bauer. And really, backup quarterback Donovan Leary. Not many opt-outs either, just wide receiver Pat Bryant for Illinois. But Bielema doesn't expect a lot of opt-outs. There's a couple guys that missed the finale, but they could be playing. So South Carolina in the transfer portal is backup quarterback Roddy Ashford. But he's staying with the team for the bowl. And the only opt-out is Kyle Kennard for South Carolina. But Shane Beamer is now saying that he does not believe Kennard will play. So that's accurate. Okay. South Carolina potential opt-outs are a few, but a lot of guys said they'll play, So, I think safety Nick Imamawari says he's going to play. Running back Raheem Sanders declared for the NFL draft, so he could opt out, I guess. But, we're seeing a lot of guys that right now are going to play for both teams, and that's kind of shocking, and it's nice to see. Bowl coach ATS, Shane Beamer's 1-1. Illinois' Brett Bielema's 5-5. Net yards per play, South Carolina is a plus 0.82 net yards per play over Illinois. The key stats is the biggest mismatch in this game. South Carolina's defensive line, ranking 7th in defensive havoc against Illinois' offensive line, ranking 116th in havoc. There should be a massive trenches mismatch hurting Illinois. Illinois' got a poor defensive front 7. Their offense will have to be powerful in this game. Gamecocks quarterback Lenora Sellers is a dual threat. The verdict here is really nice to see both of these teams, like I said, are going to be playing a lot of the kids that played during the year. But South Carolina is going to be everybody's team for next year, thinking they're all cute, like, oh, I'm going to take South Carolina to win the SEC. Well, so is everybody, buddy. Don't think you're ahead of the curve on this one. They're going to be the trendy dog to win the SEC, but the line's probably correct at 9. I would lean South Carolina if they keep their defensive line intact, though. So right now, it's a lean to South Carolina, and we'll decide later if we're going to take a position on this game. And finally, the last game we're covering for college football until next week is Baylor versus LSU, and this is minus 1.5 for LSU total. 59.5 in Energy Stadium in Houston, Texas, 3:30 p.m. on ESPN. Baylor's motivation's high. Aranda's going to love to beat an SEC team, but LSU motivation's medium. Brian Kelly, only 6-10 ATS in bowl games. Both are under 300 miles away from NRG Stadium, so really no home field advantage. Key guys missing. Starting with Baylor, transfer portal safety Corey Gordon, 376 snaps. Defensive end Trey Wilson, 228 snaps, committed to SMU. Then a couple smaller guys and backup quarterback Daquan Finn. Obviously, that was going to happen as he thought he was going to start this year. LSU transfer portal starting wide receiver C.J. Daniels, starting safety Sage Ryan, tight end Kamorian Pimpton, and a couple other guys with like 100 or so snaps. Not too bad for the transfer portal for LSU, but they have some opt-outs. Left tackle Will Campbell, offensive tackle Emory Jones, tight end Mason Taylor, wide receiver Kyron Lacey. LSU has seen both offensive tackles and its tight end declare early for the NFL draft. So Tradez Green will probably be the only scholarship tight end available. They're going to have some offensive line woes, it looks like. LSU potential opt-outs also a guard and Garrett Dellinger. He's been injured, but he's cleared to play. Linebacker Greg Penn, still undecided, had a broken rib. Major Burns, safety. The only good thing really is Garrett Nussmeier is going to play. And he's going to be returning next season. So Baylor for Coach ATS, Dave Aranda, 1-1. LSU, Brian Kelly, 6-10. Net yards per play, Baylor is plus 0.52. The key stats here. Look at all the LSU opt-outs and transfers. Even if these teams were equal, nobody's talking about Sawyer Robertson, the quarterback for Baylor. 8.3 yards per attempt, 26 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. That's some great numbers. The LSU quarterback is only keeping this number down. This line is wrong, in my opinion. This is one of my largest plays for the bowl season. Baylor's the better team up and down. Even if these teams were at full strength, I'd probably be betting Baylor. Since cleaning up the turnovers, they've been on a rampage. Probably the best team that nobody's talking about in the Big 12. Lay the points with Baylor minus 1.5 for 3 stars.
Last week, fucked around and got a triple-double.
All right. All that there's left is the playoffs right now before the late bowl games. And like I said, I like Notre Dame plus the 1.5. It's actually a plus 2 now, so you get a better number. I think that they win outright. The Boise State's right on my number at 11. It's perfect. I kind of have a small lean to ASU, but I'm not playing it until it gets to 14.5. Then I'll make a decision on that one. Oregon, Ohio State, best game, probably the should have been national championship, is a 2.5 point favorite for Ohio State. I lean Oregon. I lean either side as the dog as I have these equal teams. But man, if this gets to a 3, I'll be playing Oregon here, being that they beat them before. And I think they have a little bit better of a coach right now in Danny Lanning. Now it's time to talk about some NFL Week 17. And what a debacle that was on Wednesday with Netflix. Awful broadcast. And you couldn't even rewind it well. It was just awful having to be forced to watch that. I had to mute these games, and I actually turned them off when they were blowouts because it was just a terrible viewing experience. I hope the NFL doesn't keep with this. Absolutely ridiculous what's going on there. We're going to start with the Chargers-Patriots. The Patriots playing some good football, motivated. There's some weird stuff going on with Gerard Mayo, but the team still tries to score at the end. I like the Chargers a little bit, and I think that they might be getting their running back, and that's absolutely huge because they're just a much, much better team with J.K. Dobbins. But they still have a ton of guys that are somewhat questionable here. Cam Hart and Elijah Molden at cornerback. So you're worried about that. Gus Edwards ain't going to play. It looks like he's going to be listed as out, so that's not good. And safety Marcus May has been on injured reserve, so that's not good. He was placed on injured reserve, I believe, on December 23rd. But, otherwise, Will Dissly could play, and so that's another positive coming in, and they'll have their other tight end there in Hayden Hurst. Denzel Perryman, unfortunately, ruled out against the Patriots, but they did get Colson back, if you remember, about a week or two ago. it's just a much bigger game for the Chargers as they can close some out and a massive coaching mismatch. I kind of like them in a money line parlay, and maybe we can put them with the Bengals. Man, that would pay. Let's see here, minus 225, minus 175, just go without shopping and going right to DraftKings. This would be a plus 135 for a money line parlay. So that's kind of cool. You can get a pretty good plus money. No, it's actually plus 126. I don't know why I said 135. I think it flashed for some reason. But it's plus 126, which is still great. Plus money if you believe that the Bengals are going to take care of business and the Chargers. Maybe if you're not so sure about them, you put the Chargers with a team like the Rams and you get minus 110. Chargers and Rams. Conflicted a little bit on that game. We'll get to that game. But the Broncos and the Bengals is kind of a weird situation game that Bengals defense is terrible, but man, they sure look pretty good against DTR last week. I guess everybody looks good against DTR. The Broncos last week probably should have won that game and just kind of choked it away against the Chargers. So it's kind of an interesting situation where the Broncos are coming off a loss, but they have some extra rest too because the Broncos are coming off a Thursday night game. So this is a tough handicap for me. I kind of leaned the spread with the Broncos, but I'm not sure if I'm going to have any other involvement in this game. The fact that it's 3.5, tells you there's a lot of confidence here in the Bengals. It's more like 3.3 really, because it's plus 100, a hard 3.5. Cardinals, Rams minus 6.5, total 47.5. The Cardinals are now out of the playoffs, so that really hurts. And you wonder what their motivation is going to be. Mine would be to stick it to the Rams. The Rams aren't in the playoffs yet. They have nothing clinched. They could possibly take them out. And you're obviously fighting against Seattle. Seattle's probably going to get the win against the Bears on Thursday. So that's kind of interesting here, and they can kind of duke it out at the end. So, but at the same time, it's really hard to gauge that motivation here. It's kind of defeating to be finishing like the Arizona Cardinals did. They've lost a ton of games down the stretch here, and that's absolutely brutal. If you got to give them some points down for a power rating on the Cardinals for all those injuries, and now all of a sudden the Rams are like one of the healthiest teams. I'm shocked that my Rams season win total bet was actually possibly going to hit now. In this situation here. So, Cardinals, I would say minus 2 points for the both tackles being injured. I mean, normally it's 3 guys for cluster injuries on the offensive line, but I mean, the fact that Evan Brown is questionable on the center and they lost a few guys earlier. I mean, this is a pretty significant downgrade here. And my pure number now on the Arizona Cardinals game against the Rams is minus 5.75. So I'm very close to what the spread is anyway. I'll consider using the Rams here in a money line parlay. This is also a revenge spot too, because the Cardinals were really blown out on September 15th when they got all those injuries against the Cardinals. The Rams were blown out against the Cardinals 41-10. So man, they're going to be motivated, I think, here to get back at the Cardinals. Next game, we have the New York Jets at the Buffalo Bills, minus 9.5 now, total 46.5. I like the Jets here. Now, the Bills can clinch the number 2 seed with a win. They'd have to lose the next 2 games to not clinch it, and the Ravens get it. But I think they're going to win one of them because I think the last game is against the Patriots. So they're going to be motivated, but the Jets play them really tough, and the Jets only lost this game at home by 3 points, And the truth is that as bad as the Jets have, I think they're going to try to finish strong. I don't like how the Bills looked last week against the inferior Patriots, only winning that game by 3 points. It wasn't exactly one that just jumps off the stats to you as well. And my algorithm says the Jets should be a better team. They should be losing this game by 6.5 points, not by 9.5. So I'm okay with this play here with the Jets here, plus the 9.5. I actually gave this out at 10, but I like 9.5 for 2.5 stars. Next game we have the Bucks against the Panthers. Bucks minus 7.5. Total is 48.5. This is a perfect teaser leg. I think Carolina got a nice win last week, and they're going to be pretty happy about it. They made sure the Cardinals were not going, but the Buccaneers are playing now for their playoff lives. Had a tough one last week against Dallas. You saw what Dallas did to Carolina recently, so obviously Dallas is a much improved team now, and I just think that in this situation, the Buccaneers are going to definitely win. Can they cover 7.5 against a Carolina team that's been pretty feisty? I'm not going to bet that. I just like them as the teaser leg. Going to the next game, the Dallas Cowboys versus the Philadelphia Eagles. I like the Cowboys, and plus 7.5 right now, and this thing's come crashing down. This is a situation where, wait a second, it's only 7.5 in Bovada. I have to call this 7. Yeah, this is 7. I'm still playing it, and I gave this out at 9.5 to premium, of course, but this is a situation where Jalen Hurts might not even play this game. You know, they can't get home field all out. They're probably going to end up second or third, and the Vikings are there, at 13-2. We'll see what happens with them. But I look at it two different ways. Hurts wasn't spotted in Thursday's practice, right? So even if he plays and gets cleared, he had no practice time. So that's an advantage for Dallas. Also, Dallas has been playing some much better football as of late. It's hard to decipher how far down you get a downgrade Philadelphia without Hurts. I mean, without Hurts, I have them only at 4.75 points better than Dallas. And I think you're going to get either in an unpracticed Hurts or a no Hurts at all. So 7 is still a good number to take here, in my opinion. I wouldn't go any lower than that. But in my opinion, I don't think Hurts plays. I think they saved him for the final game against the Giants, which is a much easier situation for Philly. And the spread's going to be monstrous next week. But, yeah, it's just, why would you rush Hurts back and risk him not playing in the playoffs where you're already guaranteed in the playoffs? It just makes no sense to me to make a stupid decision. But Nick Sirianni, he does make stupid decisions, so could happen. But either way, I like Dallas at the plus 7 right here for 2 stars. Next game, the Colts versus the Giants. This is my other teaser leg in the Colts. I know Anthony Richardson's banged up, and there's some. It just kind of came as a surprise today. But, man, Joe Flacco is still better than anything that the Giants have. I mean, the spread might drop a little bit. I guess the Colts are optimistic he's going to play on Sunday anyway. He's just kind of been held out of practice a little bit. So Anthony Richardson's probably going to play. The Colts feeling pretty good probably after blowing out Tennessee last week. Colts are going to win this game. And to be honest, they're actually still in the playoffs. Now, if Denver wins, they are out of the playoffs. But even if that's the case, they're still going to want to finish the season pretty good. Motivation is such a key factor here in a lot of these situations when you're looking at the playoffs. Indianapolis wins the tiebreaker over Miami and Cincinnati, so they're rooting for Cincinnati. That's a 3-point favorite already. They're rooting for Miami. That's a 6-point favorite. They're still kind of in this thing. It could be the Colts, the Chargers, and the Steelers as the wild card teams. And Miami, Cincinnati, even though they win, if the Colts win out, will be on the odd side looking out. Now, the unfortunate thing is the final week where the Chiefs don't have to play anybody because they have the number 1 seed. That's when Denver's going to win that final game and maybe a boost ahead of Indianapolis, but they're not thinking that right now. They're just trying to get into 9-8, where the Denver Broncos will probably finish at 10-7. So after saying all that, we're just going to tease the Colts down to -1.5. The Raiders versus the Saints. I'm staying the hell away from this game. It's disgusting. Is Derek Carr playing? Is he not playing? I don't know. I think this line's going to move completely based upon what's going to happen here. So he's questionable right now, so just have to wait and see, and you're probably not going to know until Friday or Saturday on that one, and you just have to beat the line move on it as well. Both teams are really bad. As you saw, the Saints couldn't even score against the the Packers. Titans versus Jaguars, another pass for me. No clue what's going to happen in this game. Two losers, two bad teams facing each other. I would lean the Titans a little bit, but I think this is probably a perfect number here at the pick'em area here. Even from an algorithm perspective, I have Tennessee plus 0.9. So, yeah, this is a good number. Dolphins, Browns. Now, is the Browns playing DTR? I don't know that yet. He's listed at the top of the depth chart. He's questionable. I mean, if Jameis Winston plays, that'd be more inclined. I would be more inclined to bet Cleveland. I don't know how this dude just keeps throwing picks, but Jameis is also questionable himself. Yeah, I think that Dorian Thompson-Robinson is probably going to start, and I guess Ken Dorsey is kind of noted that the team is preparing that direction, but Jesus, man, I don't want to bet on Tua in bad weather because that's already burned me this year. And they're laying 6.5 points. This is a complete stay away from me as well. Packers, Vikings, this is a total pick 'em for me. I have the Packers probably about 0.75 points better than the Vikings from a power rating standpoint. I think Packers have a little bit more skill, but Jordan Love, I would say if he's not playing with a lead, is a little bit more reckless. And I feel like Sam Darnold's just having a hell of a year and two amazing coaches facing off. This is perfect. This is a perfect teaser leg if you can get plus 1.5 on either side of it. I don't think it matters. From a power rating standpoint, I have the Minnesota Vikings favored by 0.75 points. And from an algorithm standpoint, I have, let's see here, this game, Green Bay minus 1.9. I mean, we're really close here to pick them. It's going to be an awesome game to watch because it's really going to cement the possibility of the Vikings making the number one seed. It's amazing at 13-2 that they can make the overall number one seed. It's mind-blowing. So Detroit does win the tiebreak over Minnesota on head-to-head right now at 1-0, and it could be 1-1 at the end, and it might not matter. So we'll see how that comes into fruition because the Falcons are playing the Commanders, and this is the third one I'm giving out here. We're taking Atlanta plus 4, and I'll tell you why. The whole Penix thing is giving them a boost, and as bad as Cousins has been playing, man, you got to see this team is better than what they are with all the money that they paid. And Penix kind of has them excited here. And the Commanders are just in a terrible letdown spot after beating the Philadelphia Eagles last week. You're going to give me 4 points and a team in a kind of a must-win situation because the Atlanta has to win this. And they do get the tiebreak over Tampa Bay. They can move to 9-7, and Tampa Bay would be 9-7 too if they win. Call comes down to the final game. Atlanta is going to be playing their asses off here. And the Commanders already in the playoffs, most likely. Well, actually, mathematically, they're not. There's a lot of ways they can get in. They have 10 wins. Just certain people losing is going to get them in. But this is just a much better spot for Atlanta. So we're going to play Atlanta at the plus 4 for 2.5 stars.
Show me the money!
All right. The Detroit Lions versus the San Francisco 49ers on Monday night. This is kind of like a Niners plus 3.5-ish. Total is 50.5, and the Niners just still banged up. They have nothing to play for but to just try to upset the Lions. And why do you care? They lost Drake Greenlaw again now. He is out for the season. They have no running backs. Deebo Samuel's been running the ball for them. Trent Williams has been out. Now their guard, Jalen Moore, is placed on IR. They have no offensive line really to speak of. They still have a good defensive line, and maybe that gets to Goff, but there's going to be a lot of variance in this game because of injuries. I'm going to give you a small lean to San Francisco just because Detroit has a ton of injuries as well, but this is also kind of a revenge spot for Detroit for that playoff loss. So staying away from this one as of now. We'll probably have a TikTok prop for you by Monday night. That brings us to our refuse to lose teaser, and I already said it here. We are taking the Indianapolis Colts down to -1.5. And we're going to take that with the Tampa Bay Bucks to -2. I took -2 in a book that I had a good price on teasers at -110, so I'll count it at -2. But refuse to lose teasers are at 12-4 this year, just absolutely destroying it. So real happy about that. Our refuse to lose teaser is always 2.5 stars. So no beer bet bangers. We also just gave one out this week with Chris Felica that I liked. Notre Dame plus 700 to win it all. So we already gave that one out. And hopefully it hits. Now it is time for
The Sharp Side of the Force.
Sharp Side of the Force is brought to you by The Season. For the largest sports contests in all the land, please visit www.thesdn.com/OB for a discount. All right. Sharp money on college football December 28th to January 1st. Sharp money on TCU -8.5 to -12. First Louisiana, 62% of the tickets and 82% of the money. Sharp money on Colorado -2.5 to -3.5 versus BYU. 74% of the tickets and 87% of the money. Sharp money on Missouri -2 to -3 versus Iowa. 78% of the tickets and 94% of the money. Sharp money on Ohio State at Pick'em to -2.5 versus Oregon. That happened right away. 78% of the tickets and 89% of the money. And sharp money on Baylor +3 to -1.5 versus LSU. 12% of the tickets and 45% of the money. Sharp totals. Iowa State versus Miami over 52.5 to 56.5. 53% of the tickets, 97% of the money. Sharp money on Ohio State versus Oregon over 53.5 to 55. 52% of the tickets and 59% of the money. And sharp money on BYU versus Colorado over 53 to 54.5. 40% of the tickets and 66% of the money. NFL Week 17 sharp money movement. As of Thursday, sharp money on Rams -5.5 to -6.5, hosting the Cardinals 63% of the tickets and 66% of money. Sharp money on the Cowboys +10 to +7 at the Eagles, 53% of the tickets and 72% of the money. Those partially are by as well. Lions -2.5 to -3.5 at the 49ers, 87% of the tickets and 95% of the money. Sharp money, or sharp totals, I should say. Broncos versus Bengals over 45.5 to 49.5, 63% of the tickets and 71% of the money. Raiders versus Saints under 43 to 38, 15% of the tickets and 40% of the money. Titans versus Jags under 43 to 39.5, 16% of tickets and 59% of the money. I guess the Lions-Niners move from 49.5 to 50.5 is somewhat sharp as well. All right, my friends, to recap our plays. Get your pencils ready. There's quite a few of them. UNC versus UConn over 52.5. Colorado first half -2.5. Iowa +3 and Iowa, Missouri over 40. Bama -12.5 and Baylor -1.5. We're also going to go Jets +9.5. We're going Cowboys +7 because that's the number it's at. Atlanta +4. Those are our 3 NFL plays we are giving out. All dogs this week. And all favorites last week. And then we're going to do the teaser, obviously. Indianapolis to -1.5 and Tampa Bay down to -2. My friends, thank you so much for listening to this podcast. Can't wait for our next selection of plays for the big championship games coming out next week, Monday. You'll be getting it on Tuesday morning, most likely. If not, maybe Monday night. Have a great weekend. Enjoy all the games and go get some winners.